We're on test.
So we're on right. Today's daf yud, right? We're a daf behind. We're a daf behind.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Mhm.
No, but
We're a full daf behind, right? We're starting daf
okay.
yud. Okay.
How do you know to do festival?
Okay, so yesterday, we're middle of the main kasha has been for one page. Levi asked Rebbe that there could have been 16, that we have 15 arayos in the Mishnah cases where the dead brother had married a woman that is permissible to marry. But now that he died, and she's falling to, his widow was falling to, for yibum, to the brother. The brother has a chiv chorus to have relations with her. And there's no yibum, not to her, and not to the tzara. And the Mishnah said 15 cases. The Levi's question was that there's a 16th case, which would be imo. Imo means the mother of the live brother. That was not the mother of their brothers were only on the to the father, have brothers from the father, but they have two different mothers. And it will be mutter, l'chora, that will be the case, to marry the brother's mother.
This is Anusas.
So, but the Gemara says it only be anusas. It would be anusas avi. That it's called that if it would be Eishes aviv, if it would have been the father's wife, then it would be also because Eishes aviv. But anusas aviv is machlokas of Yehuda and the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan say that it's mutter. The case would have been good. And according to Yehuda, it's also to marry anusas aviv, and that's what Rebbe started answering Levi. Just scroll back to Daf Tes Amud Aleph. Levi asked the kasha. Rebbe was very upset at the kasha, and he said, and he said that it's machlokas. According to Yehuda, they're not allowed to do it, and he didn't want to get involved in a machlokas. And then the Gemara said, you do have machlokas cases. You have Rabbi Kiva and Rabbanan. The Gemara says that's in a different parak. This parak doesn't have any machlokas. Beishamai holds Tzoras Amutter, so he's saying that Bishama is not an opinion as far as we're concerned. And the third question was based on yesterday's confusing, not confusing, but intricate halacha that is possible to get in all of the 15 arayos. It's possible to get a case where there are sisters that are married, that are sisters-in-law, and it'll be mutter to for each one to marry the other one, even though usually sisters that are sisters-in-law cannot be yibum because it's called a chos kukaso. But if one of them is an erva, the other one is not a chos kukaso. And if you mutter, and you could have a double exposure, you could have both of them happening. That each one of them of the miyabmim would be mutter to the other brother's wife because they're not a chos kukaso. Yesterday came out that there are, even according to Rabbi Shimon, that's what the most coming whole kasha was, just to end off the kasha. The kasha was that according to Rabbi Shimon, you could have a case of Eishes Ach Shaloi Ba'alamo and having a double exposure over there. And that was the most kasha that, according to this, the Mishnah only goes according to Rabbi Shimon. So this is the third kasha. You see a plukta. Again, the question, Levi asked the question, say imo. Rabbi's answer was that we don't want to get involved in a machlokas. The Gemara is asking, you do have machlokas cases, and this is the third kasha to show that there is a machlokas case, because according to Rabbi Safra, the Mishnah that says is talking about such a case only according to Rabbi Shimon that it'd be possible to marry. Just to get the screen on a second. Yesterday's just to put that on the screen in a second to show that one case. Where would it be? Here we are. No, not yet. This case over here, number 4. This was the case where we had, according to Rabbi Shimon, you could have a case of 2 brothers that after number 3 and number 4 die. So this wife, the red wife, will be Eishes Achav Shalahi Ba'alama to number 5, but not to number 6 because he was born already. And you could have number 2, the wife of number 2, which is now wife of number 4, will be Eishes Achav Shalahi Ba'alama to number 6, but not to number 5. So that's how we ended off the kasha yesterday, that you do have a case that's a plukta, that the Mishnah is only taking a plukta case. That's what we're up to. And now we're onto the top of Daf Yud Amud Aleph. So the Gemara answers. Second Yud Amud Aleph, second line. They take out the word Ella because it's not Ella. It's just it's an answer. The Rebbe Hani Kalali Leslie. That's the answer. that Rebbe doesn't know of these klolim. What does these klolim mean? The whole seder that we said that you can have, like it says that later on, that you can have a chosa sheyevamos, you can have sisters that are sisters-in-law, and you have the double exposure case. But chulan ani kori behen, he doesn't have to hold of that. It's true that our Mishnah, the Beis, the first Mishnah, Rebbe says is not getting involved in machlokes. The Gemara said according to Rabbi Chia, with explanation of Rav Safra, so then it is going to have a machlokes case. It's only going to be according to Rabbi Shimon. Rebbe doesn't have to hold of that. So Rebbe doesn't hold of that, and therefore the first Mishnah goes according to everybody that there is such a thing as Eish Sachav Shloi, but he doesn't need a double exposure case.
What is klali? He doesn't.
So klali. So either klali means what later on it says in the Mishnah where it talks about a chosa sheyevamos, calls it over there a klal, that you could have the two sisters that are sisters-in-law, and one will be mutter to the other, and the other one will be mutter to the other. This whole scenario, he doesn't have to hold of that. And also, or you could just say he doesn't hold of Rabbi Chia, the one who said yesterday that the kulan anikor, that all of them could apply to the first Mishnah. That's the bekulan anikor behen. He doesn't have to hold of that. I don't know why it's called a klal, but he doesn't have to hold of that. So he learns the Mishnah that we learned simple, and you don't have to have this double exposure case where you can have two sisters that are sisters-in-law and one. He's not necessary. It's not in the Mishnah. It's Rabbi Chia and Rav Safra's explanation. He doesn't have to hold of all that. The next answer, that was all answer number one. So the answer number one was beplukta lokomari. Back to this only was to answer Akasha. Rabbi's answer was that he doesn't want to give out in a machlokes. The Gemara had three questions. You do have machlokes, you have Rabbi Akiva, you have a Shama, you have this case only according to Rabbi Shimon. And the Gemara answered successfully all the three questions. So Rabbi's answer was that we're not getting involved in a machlokes. In the first Mishnah, no machlokes, and therefore he doesn't want to say the case of Imo. I'll just put on the case of Imo a second, just on the screen, just to. A simple case, the two brothers, and there was a mother of one of them, not the mother of the other, and his brother had married her, and according to Rabbanan, it's mutter to marry a brother, nusas imo. In what way? What it was considered? It was a nusas of it. That's the way. They have a common father. So his father, this is his mother, so his father is also the father of this brother. But he didn't marry this woman, he just raped her. And therefore, according to Rabbanan, it was mutter for him to marry. And now that he died and this woman falls to Yibum, so she cannot marry her son. That's the case of Imo. That was Moras Kasha. Why doesn't it say this case in the first Mishnah? It could have been a 16th case. And the answer is he doesn't want to get involved in a machlokas because according to Rabbi Yehuda, he's not allowed to marry her. It's also to marry Anusas Imo, Anusas Aviv. That was a simple terrace. Rabbi said, don't get involved in machlokas. The reason why he doesn't say it in the first Mishnah is because Rabbi told you not allowed to do it. And even though, we'll see further, that even though if he does marry her, it is Tofis Kedushin, it does take effect. But he didn't want to say a case that's machlokas. We'll get further in the Gemara and then we'll see more. I should get clearer.
And just to be clear, it's talking about the actual woman herself, the Anusa, not her bas.
No.
We're not talking about she didn't have a bas.
No, nothing, not the subject at all.
Just her herself. So
Anusa,
she's still disattached.
Anusas Aviv.
She married one of the brothers.
Right.
She married the son. She married the son of her.
Just a simple case. Here it is. Here's the case. The man's not on the picture over here, but there was a man who was he's the father of these two sons, they're brothers. So they have a father, a common father. There's no common mother, so there's a common father. This father, if he would have married this woman, then it would have been usher to him. That's called the Eish Aviv. But he didn't marry her. He just was ma'anas her. He raped her. So according to Rabbanan, it's mutter for him to marry Anusa Aviv, and that could have been a good case. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, he's not allowed to. So that's why the Mishnah didn't talk about it, because it doesn't want to talk about a machlokes case.
Now we're talking about Rabbi Yehuda.
That Rabbi Yehuda holds that he's not allowed to marry her.
Who holds that we don't talk about a machlokes case?
Rabbi,
like he did originally.
This is not original. This is the original. It's not nothing changed. We just went back a daf. We summed up the daf.
Yeah.
Maybe asked the kasha, why doesn't it say this case? Rabbi answered because Rabbi Yehuda wouldn't hold of it. It's good according to Rabbanan, but the Rabbi Yehuda wouldn't hold of it. So the Mishnah didn't say it. That was the Gemara. it had kashas and it had answers to all the kashas. We finished the first teretz. Now we're going to have a teretz number 2 and then teretz number 3. So we start off Yud. I mean, we did already a couple of lines, but now the Gemara goes on to the second line. This is going to be the second teretz now. Ravada kachina kamei de Rav Kana Oma mishmei de Rava. So the second teretz is quoted in the name of Rava. Lolam islay Rabbi Hani.
Like Carthage.
Good. Okay. Good. I didn't look into it. Lolam islay Rabbi Hani Kalali. Rabbi does hold that the Mishnah and Daf Beis Amud Aleph should fit with what it says later on. The case that you could have 2 sisters that are sisters-in-law, and even though there's an erva, all the 15 ervas over there, everything in the Mishnah could have a double exposure, that one is going to be mutter to the other, and the other one's only going to be mutter to the other one. Everybody remembers that from yesterday? We'll get it on the screen also in a second. Let's jump onto the screen, then we'll do the Gemara. Once we see it, I think the Gemara will flow easier. Yesterday we said that we wanted to get cases. Where are we? Yesterday we went through a Gemara. We said that there's such a thing called dachos kukaso. That means that if 2 brothers die and the 2 wives of the 2 brothers fall, so you can't maybe have either one of them because each one is dachos kukaso. Since both of them fall, and it's called as kukas, just like you're not allowed to marry achos ishto, you're not allowed to marry achos kukaso. So in this case, he's not allowed to marry both of them. But the Gemara said that if you have that one of them is an erva, same case, but he's an erva to one of them, so this one is not skuka, so the other one is not a chos skuka, so he could marry her. And then the Gemara continued yesterday that if you have double, that you could have a case that even if you have 2 brothers also, you have 2 available brothers, 2 brothers die, 2 brothers are alive also, but this case would be both of them are skuka. Because each one, both of them are skuka, so both times nobody can marry them. But if you can have that 10
brothers,
yes, so, right. But if you're going to have a case that one is an erva and one is not, so he could marry her, he cannot marry either. Mm-hmm. And then we came to the final case of having asur lazem muteres lazah, asur lazem muteres lazah, chosev she's vimta choletzes lo omes yabemes. If you have a double case that 2 brothers died, married to 2 sisters, and one is an erva to one is an erva to the other. So the red could marry the blue could marry the red, because since the red to the red is not as kuka, so the other one is not a chos kukaso, and the other one the same thing. You could have a double exposure.
Even the Rabban.
So for everybody, no one spoke anything now. We want to know if this applies to all of the 15. Gemara says it applies to all the 15. Maybe not. By Bito, only Bito Manasoso. You only got a case according to Rabbi Shimon. That was all yesterday's. But now the Gemara is going to say that the second teretz is going to be, yes?
I mean, they're not from the 2 sisters. They're not sisters.
They're sisters.
So
they're sisters.
But they're related
They're
by
sisters.
some other way.
They're sisters. What do you mean? They're sisters.
No, why is one related to one brother and not to the other?
Whatever the relationship might be. It might be his mother-in-law, and this is his mother-in-law. What's the problem? They're sisters. They are sisters. That's the whole case. That they're sisters that are sisters-in-law. The Gemara is going to say now that Imo, what are we saying? That should be a 16th case. The Gemara said that all the cases can fit into this template of having the same erva. This will be bito, this will be bito. You can get it. The Gemara said bito. So the Gemara said cases. You can have that this is going to be his mother-in-law, this is his mother-in-law, this could be his granddaughter, this could be his granddaughter, everything can work. But the Gemara is going to say now that Imo, that you wanted those whole kasha, say a 16th case, say a 16th case of Imo, that this is his mother and this is his mother. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Is it going to work? That's going to be the Gemara's teretz. That since in the template of Imo is not going to work. That's going to be the answer to the kasha.
Sister of your mother isn't. There's no way that could be muteres.
Right. That's the answer. You got it. We'll see now. Okay. Just look on the. Let's go to.
Well, why would it even come up?
One second. That's gotta get it slow. Everybody has to be on the same page. I'm not on the same page yet. So let's go. So here's the case. Here's the case of how it would work if it'd be a double exposure over here of Imo. Here you have a woman. Yeah, 2 sisters. You see, you have a common father.
Who are the 2 sisters?
This one, the pink, the purple, and the orange. Okay. There are 2 sisters. How are they 2 sisters? You see, they have a common father, common mother, mamash, happy family. So far, now the yichus got messed up over here.
Right.
Now this man, whatever his name is, he was honest. These two sisters. He raped these two sisters. Each one had a son. This man had another two sons also. However, he had sons. He had, besides these two
wife,
sons,
maybe.
from another wife, no problem. He had no problem, it seems. But he had another two sons. So this man has four sons. One of the sons is a son of this woman, and one of the sons is a son of this mother. It happened to be that their sisters, yes. And this one married another son of the one who raped her, and this one married a different son of the one who raped her. And both of them died without children. And these women fall to Yibum, so they look around, who's the brother? So it happens to be that a brother is her son. She can't do Yibum, this can't do Yibum. That's his mother. Yes, please.
The men that married them.
Who's the man who married who? Who's
the
the
two brothers in the middle at the bottom?
Yes.
They each married a sister.
A sister? They married a
sister.
woman. They married two brothers married two sisters.
Yeah, but
They were the victims of
fathers.
rape.
Anusa Savid, yeah, that's where we're going. Anusa Savid, that's the case to talk about. Anusa
They're
Savid.
not their
If
fathers.
it would be Aisha Savid, then
Their
again,
fathers. Oh, it's not a wife.
it's not a wife. That's the whole point. Aisha Savid is
It's not a
Asa.
wife.
This
So
is
they could
Anusa
marry-
Savid. So he's not according to Rabbanan, he's not married. According to Rabbi, he's not allowed to marry. Okay, so this is the case of him. What we said. So the one is asking, why not say the case according to Rabbanan? The first answer was we don't want to get involved in a machlokes. Second teretz, we don't want to get involved in it because it's not going to work. This case is not going to work. Could you have this case that he, the purple son, would be allowed to be miyabim the orange wife? Should it be mutter? Because it's not a chos kukasa. It's not a chos kukasa, and she's not a chos kukasa. But no, he cannot marry her because, as Leib Yaakov said, because it's called a chos imo.
The other one.
Right, he can't marry either one. He can't marry his mother, and he can't marry his aunt.
Even though he's an anus.
What's the difference? No, again, a chos imo. This is his mother.
Yes.
This is his aunt. Forget about what this man. He's not relevant. He cannot marry his mother. He cannot marry his mother's sister. So this would not be a good template. It wouldn't fit into the template of achosa shiyavimta. This case would be achosa shiyavimta. It is achosa shiyavimta. It is two sisters-in-law that are sisters, and it's imo, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be a su'al azem, and therefore it doesn't fit into the template of the 50. If it would be only the Mishnah Beis to say how many arais, he could have said 16 arais. But since later on we want to say that all these arais of Mishnah Beis, of Mishnah Aleph, the first Mishnah of Sechta, is going to fit into the template of achosa sheyavimta can be chol that says almost yevemas if they're one are ever to the other. This case is not going to fit. If, just the point, the Gemara is going to speak out something which is pashut, if they would not have been sisters. Here, the same picture, just as no, they're not sisters. You see the same picture? They're both the same. Just here, they're sisters, they have a common father. Here, they're not sisters, two strangers. So this case would be true that if there would have been two strangers, this man was ma'anis, two women that are not related, and each one had a son, and he also had another two sons, and they died without, and they married their fathers, Anusa, and they died without children, then it would be true that he could marry her, and he could marry her. That's true. But it wouldn't be a case of sisters that are sisters-in-law. That's the whole thing. That the template was going to be achos sheyavimta. The whole thing that it says later on is to have a case where you have sisters that are sisters-in-law, and usually it's achos kukaso, and you can't marry either one of them. But if one is an heir to one and one is an heir to the other, then you could. So it's true that this halacha will be true. This would be asur l'zem b'teres l'zeh, but it wouldn't be the case of achos sheyavimta. We're looking for everything together. It should be achos sheyavimta, asur l'zeh b'teres l'zeh, asur l'zeh b'teres l'zeh. We want to get a case that sisters are sisters-in-law, and even though usually they cannot do yibum because it's called achos kukaso, but here they could because one is an erva to the other and one is an erva to the other. So the second Gemara's answer is going to be the reason why it doesn't say imo because it won't fit into this template. Everybody happy?
And the father who raped them is out of the picture because none of them are wives.
Right. It's like it doesn't become a host ashes of it. It's not ashes. All this is talking about. It's not ashes of it.
Right.
If it's ashes of it, then
It's only
sure.
that they're sisters in this case.
They're
It's the
sisters.
Sister of his mother,
Yes.
even though she wasn't a wife to his father.
Yeah, but
it
there's
is
no
her-
connection with that.
she's
It's
the
still a
mother.
sister. Doesn't have the
She's
fact that
the mother.
there's their relationship as sisters has nothing to do with what happened when they married, and if they were raped, that doesn't make a difference. They're sisters.
Mhm.
So-
Sorry, could you perhaps just go with the alternate case on the side on the right?
On the right side,
Yeah.
this is the same case. They're not sisters. They're not
No,
sisters.
they're not sisters.
They're not sisters.
They're not.
No, that's right. That's the word. The more speaks out, it's partial to that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a case of achos sheyavimta. So the more that speaks out, it would be true that each one will be mutter to marry the other one in this case, but be a case of sister achos sheyavimta. That's going to be the template later on.
They just make a comparison. This would work, but that's not what we want. What we
Right. This
want-
would work as far as being mutter to the other one, right? But it wouldn't be mutter. It
That's
wouldn't be
not
the
what
case.
in this case.
Right. It's not called achos sheyavimta. So we'll see the Gemara inside. This was the second teretz.
And this is all from Ishmael de Rava.
This is right. This is going to be Rav's answer. Lolam Islay the Rebbe Ali Klala. Rebbe holds of the Klala means he holds that it has to fit into the template of the third parak where it says you could have a sister who's a sister-in-law and mutter one to the other. This is what Rebbe meant to answer to Levi. You know why it doesn't say Imo? You know why it doesn't say a 16th Erev in the first Mishnah? In our Mishnah, just taking one case, you want to say it's possible that it's the first picture we had on the diagram, that you have a on top, the first one, just to jump again. I'm sorry that I don't know how to juggle this without going on and off each time. This is Bechada. This is true that if Imo, not a double case, a single case, that if a man had a mother who his brother married because it was only Anusa Saviv, I didn't write here's the father over here, so that he was honest this woman and not his wife, and therefore
Yes,
the
a brother from the same father.
right, he'd be allowed to marry her according to Rabbanan. That's true. This is a single case, but you want to get a double case is not going to work. One case would have worked. Now, Beis alone, if you look at it, the Beis by itself, it would have worked. But to get a double case, that's not going to work because Yaakov is a if Yaakov, they gave him Yaakov, it does make a difference what his name, right? It doesn't make any other name over here. Just if somebody was Ma'ana's two sisters, that's the case that we had on the left. That it would be a case of having sisters as sisters-in-law, but it wouldn't be that one is mutter the other one. Right? The Gemara doesn't speak it out. The reason is because it's going to be a chosimo, it's going to be his aunt. That's why he won't be able to marry her. And the other case on the right, as if he was born as two women that are not sisters, so but it would be that each one will be able to marry the other one, but it's not a case of sisters. We're looking for a case of sisters. So that is the second teretz. The reason why it doesn't say in that base, it doesn't say a case of imo, even though it fits very well. It's true, but because later on, the third parak, we're going to get to a template of all these arayas would be a case that a double exposure and each one is mutter to the other one. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be true. A third teretz.
I'm sorry, what happened here? It ended nishkachas la. Who says the last word or not?
So which one? Over here. Here's the last word over here.
Muteris asur lezeh, muteris lezeh, mishkachas la.
Yeah, that's good. That would be nakama. But achos sheyavimta lo mishkachas la.
Thank you.
That's the end of the second teretz.
Thank you.
Now starts the third teretz. Rav Ashi is the third teretz. Rav Ashi Yom Alolam Leslei Rebbe Hani Klali. He doesn't know that it's, and I'm not going with the second teretz. He just finished saying that it's because he has to get it into the template of the third parak. No, that's not the pshat. He wouldn't mind talking about a case which is only one opinion. And again, the kasha comes back now. So why doesn't it say imo? Why doesn't it say in the first parak, in the first daf? Why doesn't it say imo? That's a good case that the brother married her, beheter according to Rabbanan. And then when he died, the brother cannot marry his mother. Why not say such a case? How come Rebbe was upset at the question and says that it seems that there's no brains to the one who asked the question? They come alay. What does he mean to say? My time why'd you be the Mishnah? Be the Mishnah. I wouldn't mind if it would be Rabbanan and say it's not Rabbi Yehuda, but I could prove that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda holds you're not allowed to do it. The case of Imo, we said again, just to go back on the, what is this? His case of Imo, we said, according to Rabbi Yehuda, he's not allowed to marry her. So the case wouldn't be good. According to Rabbanan, he could marry her. So why not say it according to Rabbanan? The first terrace was he doesn't want to get involved in machlokas. The third terrace is now he doesn't mind getting involved in machlokas, but it happens to be befavorish that our Mishnah is going according to Rabbi Yehuda that also he's not allowed to marry her. How is the Gemara going to prove it? Because later on in 2 pages it's going to say a Mishnah in contrast to the 15. Our Mishnah says 15 arayos that it's possible that the brother married her. The next Mishnah is going to say there are 6 arayos. There's 15 and 6. 15, it says that we learned already that it's possible to marry, the brother could have married her, but now when she falls to Ibum, the live brother cannot marry her. That's what our Mishnah was, the 15. There's going to be a Mishnah coming up of 6 more that it's not going to be like that because the brother was not allowed to marry. The brother was not allowed to marry. And it says Beferish in that case, it says Imo. So the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. I wouldn't mind, if there wouldn't be any other Mishnah, I wouldn't mind saying a case which would be a machlokas, only according to the Rabbanan of Rabbi Yehuda. But it happens to be that this Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. Read on to the next Mishnah. It's going to say Rabbi Yehuda holds that this case is a case where the brother is not allowed to marry her. So that's the reason why you don't say, means this is really a kasha where Rabbi got upset. According to this pshat, the first 2 terutzim were like, why did Rabbi get so upset? He says, the pluk to lokamayri, but according to this pshat, there's read on the Mishnayos. The next Mishnah says Beferish that Imo, he's not allowed to marry her.
And we know it's talking about the Anusa.
Yes, that's what the Gemara is going to go on to explain. That has to be Anusa. If it will be Eshes Aviv, it says that right after that. It says Imo and Eshes Aviv. The next Mishnah is going to say that he cannot marry his mother, he cannot marry his father's wife. So if it says 2 cases, so when it says his mother, it means even if it's not his father's wife. And that means it's going to Abiyuda that says he's not allowed to marry his mother, he's not allowed to marry the mother of his brother, even if it was not through marriage. So that's going to be, so that's why we can't say that. The Mishnah should have said it in the 16th.
That's why Rabbi Levi.
That's why Rabbi was upset at Levi's question. Why didn't you read on the Mishnah? Our Mishnah must be Rabbi Yehuda, because it says in the next Mishnah like that. It says in the next Mishnah, it says here, Daf Yud Gimel is going to be, that's 3 pages ahead. It says, there are 6 relationships that are more severe than the 15 that we had in the beginning, because they have to have been married to other people. They're not married to that relationship. They're married as a brother. So the same with Taurus. If it will be, it's a stranger. That means another way of saying that Taurus is mutter. Taurus Erev is mutter. It's only Taurus Erev is only also when it's also a brother's wife. But this is not a brother's wife because he couldn't have married them. And the list over there says number 1, Imo, number 2, Eshes Aviv, number 3, Achos Aviv, and it goes on 4, 5, and 6. But we just need the first 2, Imo and Eshes Aviv. My Imo, what's the case of a mother that the dead brother could not have married? It says over there, the dead brother could not have married her. Sheish Arayis Chamur is that the dead brother could not have married her. One of them is the mother of the live brother. One is the Eshes Aviv of the live brother. So what is the case of the mother? That it's also a father's wife? How is it? The mother has 2 choices. Either it's the father's wife or it's Anusas of it, that he raped her. Either he married her or he raped her. If he's married, that's the second case. Eshes Aviv. I knew Eshes Aviv. Elolav Anusas Aviv. It must mean that it's the mother, even though it's not the wife of the father. So if so, it says Beferish that he's not allowed to marry the dead brother was not allowed to have married her. That the case is that because he's not allowed to have married that woman, so it would have been only married to a stranger, not to a brother. That it says Beferish that it's only mutter to marry somebody else. It's not mutter to have been married to the brother. Who holds it at? That he's not allowed to marry his brother's mother, which is Anusas Aviv, even though it was not through marriage. Rabbi Yehuda, that's Anusas Aviv. That's only Yehuda holds. So that's it. Our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, Mishamachi Lotani. That's why it doesn't say it, because our Mishnah is going to Rabbi Yehuda that he's not allowed to marry him. The Gemara continues on to ask that this Isser is only an Isser to do it, but it doesn't. It means that it's Asser, but it's not Chayav V'Koros. Means even if we said again that to marry Anusas Aviv according to Rabbanan is mutter, according to Rabbi Yehuda is Asser. Even if it's Asser, it's not Chayav V'Koros. Even if Rabbi Yehuda holds that you're not allowed to, it doesn't mean that it's Chayav V'Koros. So that's the Gemara still going to push and say, what's the difference if he's not allowed to? What if he did? What if he did marry her? What if the dead brother had married Anusas Aviv.
Even though he's not allowed.
He wasn't allowed to. But if he did, what would be the din? It wouldn't be true that if he died now without children, the brother cannot do Yibum because it's his mother. So it still could have been a good case, even though it's not supposed, even though it's not a kosher case. So it's not a kosher case. That also happens that if he would have married his Anusas Aviv, even though he's not supposed to, it's a Chayve Lavin, and then there still will be a question if she falls to Yibum. It is a marriage. It is a marriage. Chayve Karius is not considered a marriage. Like they're going to say soon that it's not, even if someone gave her a ring instead of Red Bukadeshly, it's nothing. Chayve Karius, the Kedushin is not Tofis. There's no Kedushin. But by Chayve Lavin, if it's only a Lav, the Kedushin is Tofis. There's Kedushin. They shouldn't have gotten married, but they did. So there would be a din of Yibum. We'll get soon. That's going to be at the bottom of the page. So I said not a Kondrabaki. This is going to be not a Kondrabaki. But that Chayve Lavin, Kedushin is Tofis. So that's the Mor's Kasha that even though he should not have, but if he did, the din will be true. The Mishnah could have said, but the Eved case, if the dead brother had married his father's Anusa, he should not have, but he did. And then the din is that if he dies, she falls to Yibum. She can't fall to Yibum to her son. So it would have been a good case. Not happy?
No, try the last two sentences.
There's one kasha going on for the whole daf already, two daf. That how come it doesn't say this case? How come it doesn't have a 16th case that the brother married and now that he dies and the woman is falling to the Yibum, to his brother, there are 15 cases that she can't do Yibum. There's no Yibum because it's a relative. And the Gemara found the 16th case of being her son, that he can't, this man cannot be Yibum his mother. And what's going to be the scenario? How did he come to have Yibum? Because his brother had married her. How did his brother marry? Because it's Anusas Aviv. If it's Eishes Aviv, then he couldn't have married. There's no marriage. Even if he married her, there's no marriage. It doesn't fall to Yibum. But over here, that is Anusas Aviv, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he shouldn't have done it. But if he did it, it is a marriage. And she falls to Yibum, and he looks around, who could do Yibum for me? And she finds her son. So then the Mishnah would say, that's an error which stands in the way of Yibum. It would have been a nice Mishnah. Why doesn't it say it? Is everybody happy?
And he just married her stam. It had nothing to do with Yibum.
When he married her, the first one, yeah. All these cases, all the cases are that all the 15 cases are that he married her. Only all the cases, Bito, his granddaughter, his daughter-in-law, all the cases were that the brother had married a good marriage, his brother has a nice relative. Why not? He's allowed to marry her. And then he died, and then now the brother can't do Yibum because it's his relative. All the cases, besides might have been one case. All of them, there was nothing to do with Yibum. Just now that he dies, he's the one who evokes Yibum in the case over here because he died. So, yeah, that's a kasha. That's the most kasha now. That according to Rabbi Yehuda also could be a case that if he transgressed and he married, he shouldn't have married his father's Anusa. But if he did, it is a marriage, and the Mishnah has to speak out that there's no Yibum to the son. The Mayan says the lokatani. It doesn't want to say cases of the Evid. The if. It doesn't want to say cases of if that are not kosher ifs. The lokatani. Now the Gemara has a case to say the kasha was if the means the avar.
There is a issue. In other words, according to Rabbi Yehuda,
there is a. So the Gemara said, but it's all right if there's an issue. So if it happened, it happened. The Gemara doesn't want to say such kind of cases. The lokatani. We don't want to say the like the ever lokatani. We don't want to say if it happened. We don't want to talk about such kind of cases. Now the Gemara has a fan.
It's like a machlekes.
No.
Don't go there. Okay.
Not because machlekes, because it's a diavad case.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the other cases. No, Kash.
Excuse me. When it was because it was according to Rabbi Yehuda.
Yes.
That's why Rebbe thought that Levi shouldn't have had a question.
Right, because the Mishnah
included because Rabbi Yehuda is a whole different thing.
Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda. Not as no, because he's talking. No, because he's talking. And the first terrace was that he doesn't want to get involved in the machlokas. He doesn't want to say a case was only according to some opinions. Now, the third terrace is not because it's in a machlokas, because look in the Mishnah, you should see that Rabbi Yehuda is a ton of our Mishnah. He says in the next Mishnah that it's not in the 15, it's in the 6. It's in the case where there's
no shaila about it. It's Rabbi Yehuda.
Yehuda is the talking. Yehuda is a speaker. He's talking, and he holds that he's not allowed to marry. The brother was not allowed to have married her. That's why he doesn't say it.
And he wasn't talking when we're talking about the 15.
He was the one who was talking of the 15. He was talking, and he had 15 cases. He didn't have 16. If it would have been the Rabbanan talking, the Rabbanan would have had 16 cases. Rabbi Yehuda only has 15 cases because the brother was not allowed to marry his father's Anusa. the Marakash, even according to Yehuda, if he did it, it's also a good case. We don't want to talk about the evidence. Right. The Gemara is a fancy case. Now the Gemara figures out a case that there could be, this is a chap. I mean, it's not a kosher chap, so to speak, but the Gemara says I could find a case of yibum to a mother where the live brother didn't do anything wrong. He's saying that the case of imo is only, according to Yehuda, the case of that not to fall to yibum to a mother would only be a case where the brother married her, he shouldn't have, because anusas imo. That's what he just said. He just said that this case, the first case, even according to Yehuda, should not have happened because the dead brother should not have married her. So therefore, we don't want to say a scenario which was a di'evet case. The one says, I'll show you a case that it's not going to be a di'evet case. Of course, it's a not kosher case, but it's not that the present generation did anything wrong. Here's a couple. Here's a father. He had a son. So far, everything's kosher. And he got married. He had a wife. That was also kosher. But then the father had relations with his daughter-in-law, which is chayiv skila. That's chayiv. But that's we mentioned it. But here, that wasn't the scenario we're talking about now. He had relations with his daughter-in-law, and they had a son.
They had
a son, so they're brothers. Really.
They're brothers. They have a common father.
Wow.
A messy case. This son, he died. I can understand why he died.
embarrassment.
But now his wife.
And they didn't have children.
They didn't have children. And his wife is falling to Yibum. Why is she not a wife?
Because she
why is she not a wife?
She's a
wife. He married her. He married her. He married her 10 years ago.
No, the father.
He married her. He married her.
That was.
Well, he was married. He married her.
Good, that's good.
So why say it's not a marriage? She's married there.
No, but because since the father lived.
So what happened? It takes off the marriage? Since when does it take off?
We're not willing.
It doesn't take off the marriage. She's married.
So married, she's an ish.
Yes, he did a table of areas, chayiv skila. We gave skila to the father also. What's the difference? He's married. There's a marriage.
She's lost her to her husband, but they're still married.
The din of sota is coming up later on. So you want to stay clear of that. Talk about the anusa. So she was not. That's not the subject. We'll get to the sota later on. Maybe tomorrow's not. But over here, they're married. He died without children. She falls to Yibum. He looks around to her brother. Any brothers? He has a brother.
That's the son.
So he can't do even to his mother.
Of course.
Right. So why does the Mishnah not say that? He didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
He's an innocent.
So why doesn't it say he can't do that?
He's innocent.
So the case to talk about that a man cannot do even to his mother is not only in the case where the brother did something wrong. He didn't. The dead brother didn't do anything wrong. The father did something wrong. The brother didn't do anything wrong. The reason why I don't want to say this case is because the dead brother did something wrong. He shouldn't have married his anusa subject. But this case, the dead brother didn't do anything wrong. If the grandfather did something wrong, he should have been chayiv skila. We'll give him skila. But he didn't do anything wrong, so say a case. The one answer is not a kosher case. We don't want non-kosher cases. It's true, he didn't do anything wrong, but this whole brotherhood is not a kosher brotherhood. Shouldn't have happened. So we don't want to talk about such cases either.
Well, the other case wasn't a kosher case either.
All the other 15 cases are kosher cases. This case, the Gemara said the Eved.
He's not supposed to have married.
Right. That's what we said. That was the first answer. The ilokatan. Yeah, but it's only that he did something wrong. Then the Gemara says, I'll give you a case where he didn't do anything wrong.
I see.
So the Gemara says, okay, we don't want to talk about that either. We don't want to talk about the grandfather who did something wrong. So that's the Gemara's answer. Inside.
Is there
over there, Mashi Avkana, below the E, Nami Mishkachas. I could give you a case where the brother didn't do anything wrong, without the E.
Below the E.
Without the E. Before we said the E lokatani. Now we're saying the E is now we're saying the E avad, the Evad. Even in a case that the dead brother did something wrong. What's the case? I can find you a case that tell me that he shouldn't have relations with his mother. He falls to Ibn. The mother falls even to her son. What's the case? Yaakov is the grandfather of it. Yaakov on his kalaso. Yaakov raped his daughter-in-law. You wanted to have a notice over there. Okay. The holy the men of Bain. They had a son. Umeis, we call him Ruvain. That was the original son. Below Banim. And now the wife falls to his brother, who happens to be her son. And then also that, besides that, but let's finish the mission off, that also tzara. If this son, just get on the screen again, that if the son, where is he? If this son would have another wife, so then she's also, that's the din of tzara. Just like after he dies, this wife cannot do yibum, he cannot do yibum to her, he cannot do yibum to the tzara either, if he has a co-wife, if he has a co-wife. So that, the Gemara throws that in already, that'll be the pshat in the Mishnah. Right. So why doesn't it say that case? We don't want such cases. We're talking about brotherhood of heter, but not brotherhood of isser. The only way he's a brother is because the father raped his daughter-in-law. We don't want such a case. So we went through the kasha. The kasha was a daf ago. Maybe asked Rebbe, why not say a 16th case? Rebbe said, we have here three terutzim more or less. One is plukta lokamari. He doesn't want to give the machlokis. Second teretz was that it doesn't fit into the template of having a double exposure of two sisters that are sisters-in-law, and that the relationship is going to be the mother, and that it's not going to work because it's going to be achos imo, right? And the third teretz was that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda talking, and he in the Mishnah alone it says Rabbi Yehuda is the one who's talking. In the next Mishnah, Sheish Arayos, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda is not allowed to do it. There might have some problems, even according to Rabbi Yehuda. It is going to be a marriage, or you can find a case where he didn't do anything wrong. All these cases we're not talking about, and therefore Rebbe said that's the reason why the first Mishnah doesn't say it. But after everything, Levi said it is worthy to put in. He says here, Botka, some say on the side, Poska. It means he threw it into the Mishnah. He also wrote Brises. Levi had Brises, even though he didn't author the Mishnah. Rebbe authored the Mishnah, and Rebbe didn't put it in. But Levi did put it into his Brises. The Tani Levi said in his Brises that Imo. Sometimes it will be in the first Mishnah, means it'll be the 16th one. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes it won't part of the tzara. It won't be considered a relation. And it's going to say the difference is the mother could either be married to the father, which is Eishes Aviv, and then it doesn't belong in the first Mishnah because there's Eishes Aviv is the brother, the dead brother had married the father's wife. It's not a marriage at all. And that's going to be later on one of the Sheish Arayos. Like we said, just to scroll down a second, it's right there. Eishes Aviv is right there. That's surely a case which is not in the first Mishnah because that brother, there's no marriage. He can't marry his father's wife. But if it's going to be Anusa Sav, that's going to be an Amud Beis. Ketzad. Hoisa imo Nesua Saviv. If it was Nesua Saviv, and she was married, it wasn't really a marriage to the dead brother, Umeis, Zui, Emush, and Pater Sarasa. This is not considered a marriage at all. There's no marriage. It's not Tavis Kedushin.
I don't understand what's Nesuas. I mean, we have
Anusa Saviv and Nesua Saviv. This case, did the father marry her or did the father not marry her? He just raped her. So if it's Nesua Saviv, so then the large brother is not allowed to marry Nesua Eisha Saviv. That's Chayiv Koros, and it's not Tavis Kedushin at all. And if he did not marry her, he just raped her, then it'll be Anusa Saviv. That's Amud Beis over here. Imo Anusa Saviv, not Nesua Saviv, but Anusa Saviv, and Nasal Eses Lachem Yaviv Umeis. So Imo Shapater Sarasa. That could be a case. That could be a 16th case. Anusa Saviv, and it ends off. Even though the Mishnah say 15, there's really 16. You can add on the 16th one. That was Levi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of just again. The last case where it brings out that Kate said, two lines from the bottom. Even the Swiss Aviv.
That the Swiss Aviv is this case. Let's get on the screen. If this case, that's Imo, they have a common father, right? I didn't put on the drawer, but these brothers, they have a common father.
Yeah.
And this woman is the mother.
The real mother.
This mother is
kosher mother.
No, it doesn't say. No, the two choices. If it's the Suas Aviv, yes. So then the goods.
Kosher mother, right?
Yes. So then it wouldn't be a case that if the brother had married her, call it married in quotations, married his father's wife, and he died, she doesn't fall to Yibum because it's not a marriage. The dead brother who had married his father's wife is a chayiv karas. Chayiv krisis. There's no kedushin. There isn't this matrimonial bond is thrown to the garbage. There is no matrimony here. When he married her, it didn't happen because it's chayiv karas. If it was Eishes Aviv, if it was Anusas Aviv, if the father raped her, so then it's a marriage. And according to you, they shouldn't have done it. According to one, he could marry her. even the chatchila. But if it's Eishes of it, then it's Chayiv Kares, and it's not, you can't, and even the evidence nothing.
Right.
So that's not the case that wouldn't fit into the template of Mishnah Aleph, of Mishnah Bezim and Aleph.
Okay.
That's all. That would be in the Sheish Arayis. That's the case of Sheish Arayis Chamuras, that this is nothing. This marriage is nothing, and therefore if he dies, she doesn't fall to Yibum. There's no Yibum at all, not because it's her son. There's no Yibum.
Right.
Good. Okay, next.
So the Gemara, what's the gears of the Gemara? So I say you mean the Swiss of it, fine.
So then-
Right, fine.
But if it's Anusas of it, that's the case. That's the 16th case that belongs in the Mishnah. That's what it says in our days. If the mother was Anusas of it, which was the whole Gemara's kasha at all time, that was Levi's kasha.
Right.
Anusas of it was 16th case.
Right.
So then it's a case, but then it could be in that day. Then it could also fit into that days. New Gemara, but not such a new Gemara. It means everything is finished. But now we just stumbled upon a case where we talk about the Eveds. Amalei Rishlakish Levi Yochanan, Rishlakish asked Rabbi Yochanan, Levi the Amar, the E Nami Katani. If you're happy to say also cases of the E Eveds, I have another case that Mishnah Dav Beis could have said another case. So that's a little background. What are we holding over here?
Okay.
Here we are. There's such some background from the Torah. There's such a din as chalitza. That's the diagram, the new code, that this zigzag means chalitza. I just have to think of something how to make
As
chalitza.
opposed to a curly.
A curly one is a marriage, right? Or yibum. So here you have two brothers. One of them died. She falls to her husband's brother to yibum, and he could marry her, or he could do chalitza. He did chalitza. Okay, such a thing called chalitza.
So that's a kosher marriage.
There's no marriage. It's
There's no
chalitza.
marriage. Then she's
Then
free.
he's,
to marry
it's like a
somebody
divorce.
else.
She's free. Chalitza now she goes married.
No, I'm saying everything was kosher.
Everything was kosher, and he died without children, and the wife
That's the
needs either
template.
yibum or chalitza. There's a case called chalitza. Okay,
Mhm.
no, that's a
the
Torah.
template.
Next case.
Like we learned that
Now-
it's better to
We're-
one only to do chalitza because it can do Shem Shema. Whatever.
That's in the freezer. Now, if he did chalitza, and then afterwards he had second thoughts and he married her,
You can do that?
Oh,
so he shouldn't do that.
Mafta Grushasa.
So is it called yibum? So then it's too late for it
No,
to be
it can't
yibum.
be. It's a Eshazach.
So you might think it's Eishazah. He might think that he married his brother's wife without yibum. So you might not no mitzvah of yibum. You might think that it's mamash chayiv kares. So lo and behold, it's not chayiv kares.
Wow.
Because the pasuk says, "Don't do that. Don't do it." Since the pasuk says, "Don't do it," there's going to be a drash to say, "Don't do it." So he shouldn't take her, but it's only allowed. It turns into allowed.
It's allowed. Is it yibum?
It's not yibum,
It's not yibum. It didn't help the dead brother's soul.
right? Okay, if you want to know, the soul sounds like it didn't help. It didn't do yibum. He did chalitza. Yeah. He got whatever.
He just
But
married
the fact
her.
that he had married her,
And he
so
shouldn't have,
it's
but-
not any more chayiv kares. It's a big chiddush. We think it's chayiv kares because
Yeah.
it's a brother's wife without yibum, and not but no mitzvah of yibum. But it's only allowed.
And how do we call that?
Cholza
Just say don't do it.
v'kitsha.
Meaning that it was the kitcha.
He married her, so it's a chayv elavan only. It's only chayv elavan. It's not going to be chayv kares. It's a big chiddush. You think it's chayv kares, but it's not. It's not chayv kares. It's only allowed
What's the why it's just allowed?
because the Torah says don't do it. We'll see the Gemara inside. This is just a Akdama. This is just a preview. We'll see the Gemara is going to say there's only allowed, and everyone agrees to this. Everyone agrees it's only allowed. Next case.
So he's taking her back. There's no Eshazach.
It's Eishes. There's no chayv kares of Eishesach. It's only allowed of cholza v'kitsha. Now, how about if same story? There was a man, he died, he had a wife, he had even two wives, he died, and one of the brothers did chalitza, so everything should go home, goodbye, they should get married, they're free.
Wait,
But-
these are two wives to the dead man?
The dead man, right? And also there were three brothers in the beginning, let's say.
Okay, and he did, one did
Chalitza, and they did everything fine. They
So
hechsher the badas. They did chalitza, go get
Yeah,
married.
okay.
He tells these to women, you can go get married.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about, so we said, if he's going to marry her now, it's only allowed.
Yeah,
How about if his brother marries her? Is that only allowed? Or maybe it remains chorus.
But he made chalitza already.
Yes.
Right, so that would be Eshazach.
Yes, but we said a second ago that when the brother himself does it, the big chiddush was that it's not.
So it's allowed.
So that's the question. That's the question. Is it allowed or is it kores? The brother himself who does it, everyone agrees is only going to be allowed. The question is going to be if that it goes down also, if it only goes down from kores to allowed, also for the brother and also on the tzara. Means if this brother
It's not the same.
is he going to if he marries the tzara, the other woman, which was also free. The chalitza frees all of them. You do chalitza to one, everyone gets free. And does it go down back to Eishasach again and it's chayiv kores, or also it's only allowed? So the question is,
Does it stay alive?
does it stay chorus or does it go down to allowed?
It's
So-
not Maxir Chalitzasa. It's not Maxir. Also, the first brother was Maxir.
But if the Torah has been knocked down to fine, but if the same way the Torah knocked, that's going to be the sugya now. The same way the Torah knocked down the chorus to allowed only because so maybe it knocks it down also for the brother, also for the tzara. So the question is going to be both the brother, the brother marrying. What the chalutza and also the brother himself to have relations with the tzara. This one we say for sure. This one is only going to be allowed. The one chalitza to the one menugat chalitza is only going to be allowed, not kores, but remains about the tzara for both him and his brother, and the chalutza herself for the brother. Does it go down to allowed? Does it remain kores? That's the sugya, and that's wrote over here. Tzaros machlokes that's going to be a machlokes Achin and the tzaros
And the Torah.
is going to be a machlokes of Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Machlokes of Yochanan, that's going to be a machlokes case. So we go to the Gemara now. Oh, if we could do a little, let's skip a little bit. We'll come back. If we could,
This next Bryce or whatever it is
Right.
going to be Reish Lakish.
it's going to, there's a discussion. Let's first learn the sugi. Instead of learning Rashi, so to speak, let's start on the Itmar. Itmar is the first one on the line is Torah, about 10 lines after where we're holding. It's highlighted in the yellow over here, Itmar. This is the main sugya. Then the Gemara, based on this sugya, had a kasha before. So let's learn the sugya. Itmar, cholis leivimto. This is the case that he did chalitza, fine, everything's fine, but v'chaz of a kitcha, and then he married her. Amr Shlokish, who ein chayav ala chalitza kares, v'ha'achin chayav ala chalitza kares. He, if he's going to marry her, there's only a love, it's not kares. But the brothers who would marry her would be kares. And also ala tzara, bein ha'achim chayav ala tzara kares. And as the other wives, it's also kares. Means Rish Lakish says everything stays the same, only him, the one who did chalitza to the one who got chalitza, that goes down to a lav, but everything else stays kares, as we would have thought. The one chiddush, and the chiddush only over there, it doesn't spread itself. It's only kula b'hem, but everybody else stays chomo.
Right.
And Rabbi Yochanan is going to say that everything goes. Rabbi Yochanan says they're all only a lav. Rabbi Yochanan nama beinu bein achin chayav lo latzar chalusa kares v'lo latzar kares. The Gemara is going to say now my time, but we'll come back again. But now if we could just scroll back to what we skipped.
Listening.
Amalei Rish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. This is about 4 lines from the top. Amalei Rish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. The Levi, the Amar, the Inami Katani. If you're okay to say the Eved cases in the Mishnah, I have another case that I could have said in the first Mishnah. Listen, Yachol Lisli Vimto, V'chaz of a Kitcha, Umeis Below Banim. If you had such a case that one brother died, the other did Chalitza, one did Chalitza, and he married her, and he died.
Is this a Bryce or he's just saying, what if we taught this?
Let it know. It's not a Bryce. I said, let us say this case. Why doesn't it say this case?
Okay.
Here's a case. Chalsa v'kitcha umeis. The case, I think this is the case. Chalsa v'kitcha umeis. Here it is on the chart. That there was a brother. There were 3 brothers. One of them married a woman, and he died. Another brother did chalitza. Fine, everything's good. But then he married her, and then he died. And now does she fall to him to the next brother? So what would we say?
Reish Lakish.
Marriage is allowed. What he did was allowed. So it's kedusha and stofus. So it's his wife. Even though he shouldn't have married her, but he did. Then it takes its whole. Now he died without children, so she falls to Yibum. She falls to him. Are they allowed to have relations?
According to Reish Lakish, it's not chorus.
According to Rish Lakish, it is chorus.
I thought it was just a lot. And then
According to Rabbi Yochanan, it's chorus. Rabbi Yochanan is the one who's leaning. I put it in green. Rabbi Yochanan is the one who's leaning. Rish Lakish is matmeh. So Rish Lakish said, I have a case. Look at this. That it could have been in the first Mishnah. Here's a case where the brother, it's the Yevid. He shouldn't have done it. That's why he says the E. That if you're willing to talk about the Yevid cases, here's the Yevid case that the brother should not have married her, but he did, and it takes effect. It's a good kiddush. He shouldn't have married her, but he did. And now that he dies, she falls to the brother, but that's a chayv chorus. The mamish is the fifth into the 16th case, a case where the brother had a marriage, and now that she falls to the brother to Yibum, he can't marry her. We'll put a red one over, red and red, that they can't. It's a chayv chorus. So why doesn't it say it in the Mishnah? That's Rish Lakish's question. Rabbi Yochanan would say it's not a kasha because this is chayv elav. It means that not only is he only allowed, this also only going to be allowed, not going to be chayv chorus, and then they do have to do chalitza at least. It's not that nothing happens. It's not like the first Mishnah. The first Mishnah is that as a hair, but there's no yibum. There's no yibum, no chalitza. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, that's going to be the answer.
Okay.
That's going to eventually be the answer. It's going to take a little time. That's what now. This was Rabbi. Back to the beginning again. If you say the E case, say this case that he, a brother, we'll call him the second brother, was chodesh him and he married her again, and then he died, and now without children, and now befalling to the third brother, the migu, the E asura, tzaros anami asira, that this would be a case fits into the first Mishnah, that she's a chayve chorus, and to the brother that remained, like Rish Lakish himself holds, and therefore there's no yibum to her, not even to a co-wife also. It'd have to be a co-wife over there. Amalei. So we're surprised that Rabbi Yochanan's answer. Rabbi Yochanan doesn't say what we're expecting. Rabbi Yochanan should have said that I argue on you. I hold that it's only allowed, not a chorus. But he didn't say that. He said the Mishnah is only talking about cases that there'll be a case of a tzaras tzara. If you remember the case that in the first Mishnah says potur tzara saying, v'tzaras tzara saying, that would be a case where you'd have to get more brothers over here, and when the brother would have married, there could be a case of yibum that was beheter to one of the brothers, and then after he dies, it's called a tzaras tzara. We have to go back to the Mishnah in the beginning about a tzaras tzara. But in this case, there is no tzaras tzara because once he did chalitza, they were all in the same boat. There can be 10 brothers over here. They're all the same thing. Whatever they are, they're all going to be chorus. If one brother did chalitza to the wife, to the widow, so then according to Rish Lakish, everybody else is chayv chorus now. Not only this brother, the second, a third brother, a fourth brother, a fifth brother, 10 brothers, 100 brothers, they're all chayv chorus. So there's no case to be able to invent that tzaras tzara. We can elaborate about it, but that's the time I want to take up too much over time today's Purim. So just to go back to the Gemara and finish up. So the Gemara says, why it doesn't say, but the Gemara is very surprised. Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan himself should have said a much better answer. Rabbi Yochanan should have said, I only allow. So then it can't be in the first Mishnah because the first Mishnah is chayve krisus, and by chayve krisus, that's the case that the Mishnah wants. Chayve krisus, that he can't, there's no yibum, but there's no chalitza, nothing. But over here, chayve lavin, it says, is b'nei chalitza. So the answer is, Rabbi Yochanan would have said that answer, saying, according to you, Rish Lakish. The answer is the dvar of the Karmelei is only English. Shalosh Lakish. According to me, it's like a kasha, not a kasha, because the other brothers is only allowed, and therefore it's not going to be the first Mishnah because there is chayv chalitza nibam. But according to you, that it was a kasha. So just to point out that this case, what the Gemara is saying is that this case of chaltza v'kitcha is going to be dependent on machlokas or shlokish and Rabbi Yochanan if it fits into the template of the first Mishnah. According to Rish Lakish, it did. And that was the kasha. Why doesn't it say it? The answer is because it's not going to fit in to the one point about tzaras tzara, because all the brothers have the same status. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, the kasha is not a kasha in the first place because the other brothers are chayve lav, not chayve krisus. We're looking for a case. All the 15 in the Mishnah is all chayve krisus. Should we stop here because it's late on Purim and we'll do it again? Huh?
Yeah, we have a guest coming.
Yeah. So we'll stop here. So we're a daf and a quarter behind. Okay.
What time on Motzi Shabbos?
What's the time? What do you say?
7:30 or later? I don't know. Quarter to 8, can we say?
Yeah, quarter to 8 sounds.
I'll go.
Time's up. You're the deciding one.
9 days, 7:30.